Drink beer, it's good for you. I'm empty-handed and I'm feeling blue, and I'm gonna drink till the day that I die.
Hello and welcome to the video. In this video I will share my methods and recipe for a Bohemian Pilsner. But first let's look at this beer style and what is involved. This beer style is simply steeped in history. It was first brewed in 1842 and was the original clear, lightly coloured beer style. It features a medium body, rich, complex maltness, combined with a pronounced yet soft and rounded bitterness and a spicy flavour. The overall impression of this beer is that it is crisp, complex, well-rounded and very refreshing. The aroma is also rich with complex malt with a spicy floral smell from the Saaz hops. It is best suited to a soft water profile with a low mineral content. Being a lager style, it is highly advisable that you ferment this at low temperatures with stability. This stability aspect is more important for styles like this than the majority of other styles out there because there is simply little to hide behind, flavour-wise. Mistakes and off flavours will flag up quickly. Due to this, these styles of beer are the hardest to get great. If you are a beginning brewer or a novice, then I would simply suggest that you consider practicing more with stouts or IPAs or ales in general for a while before moving into the more delicate styles like this. This is not a slight, it is a friendly piece of advice, of course. This historical beer style is a great summer beer. Be aware that it will benefit from conditioning in a stable temperature cold environment. 5 degrees C is used by many, or you can go colder. The important thing here is do not allow it to freeze. This process is called lagering. Lager means storage or to store in certain Germanic languages. There is much debate on how long you should do this for, not just in the homebrewing community either. Commercial brewers also disagree on this too. As always, alcohol content plays a part in this. I think many of us can agree on that. But actually how long you should lager for should, in my view, be a personal thing. After all, we all have a different taste palette. My suggestion is to lager in such a way that you can taste the beer as you go. This can simply be via a conical tap, or from a beer bottle or a keg. Some will say that lagering for too long will reduce flavours that they enjoy. Keep this in mind too. It could apply to you. People can give you figures for how long they prefer, but your own personal taste palette should be your own guide. In time, you will become your own taste's master. This style has many great commercial examples, some of which are on the screen now. Try them if you wish and see what you think, if you have not already. Moving on to my recipe now. This recipe is for 23 litres or 6.07 US gallons. If you wish to brew more or less than this, then please see my video guide on this channel on how to adjust recipes. It is not simple maths for all parts, sadly. This recipe can be found in the YouTube video's description and also on the Grainfather recipe database. It is very strongly suggested that you use European ingredients for this recipe in regards to the malts and the hops. If you cannot get Carapils malt, for example, then a low EBC Crystal malt will do the same job. Do note that within this recipe I have given full details for fermentation and lagering in writing. This is my suggested process. If you prefer to do it another way, then please do so. We all have different conditions and different preferences. The important thing is to base your opinion on actual experience rather than other people's. So as usual, try it all yourself and make your own decisions. Let's move on to the brew now. And for this brew, I thought I would mix things up a little and crush my malt purposely too fine to show you how this looks and how to deal with it. I have had plenty of requests to do this, so it was about time really. So as you can see here, there is lots of dust to this grain that is very visible without even touching it. When I add it, this is even more noticeable. When you see that you have a crush like this, it's really best to add rice hulls straight away. But in this case I will not do that, so that I can show you how the system actually works when you have a grain crush like this. So I am just finalising the mash now, and the grain gets worked into the strike water, adding it in small amounts and stirring in fully before adding more. You will note that the mash is quite foamy. Nothing to worry about here, and this is expected with this type of grain bill. It's a very good idea that once you've actually added all of your grain, that you finalise the mash, as I call it, by giving it a good stir from the top, the middle and the bottom, and also breaking up the grain, just to make sure that all of the grain is separated and well stirred in and every grain is wet. So now that is all done, all the usual parts go on to get ready for the mash. Note the sink strainer. As I mentioned before, this is an alarm system as well as a filter, and it's going to be particularly useful since I know that I have a way too fine grain crush, and you will see how this works. So we are now at the mashing stage, and as you can see, the centre sink strainer has picked up a fair amount of loose grain bits already. At this point the alarm is triggered for me, and it is time to get things in order. This starts with pausing the mash timer. With safety in mind, I have put some brewer's gloves on. That top plate and the other parts are going to be very hot. Stopping the pump and then removing the top grain plate, time to reach for the rice hulls and in they go. Nobody can really tell you exactly how much of these to put in, just follow my lead here. These are now stirred into the mash with a view to distributing them evenly within the grain. The stirring took about 5 minutes in total. Then you're going to pop everything back and restart the pump and unpause the timer. Here is how things are now looking, and we are at the second mash step only. No issues now at all, and the water's cleaned up nicely, as you can see here amongst the foam of this mash. The thing to realise here is that no matter how big your issue is within a brew, it can be fixed. Mess up with your fermentation, however, and that's a different story, of course. For more information on the mash, here is a pausable section. Please pause now to read it if you're looking for more information. Let's move on to the sparge now, and of course we're all waiting to see if this gets stuck, and I'm really happy to say that in actual fact it doesn't, and you can thank those rice hulls for that, because if I hadn't added them, I'm pretty sure we would have had a stuck mash and a stuck sparge with such finely ground grain. With time in mind, I'm going to move on now. For those that want more information on sparging, please pause now and read this pausable section before moving on. We are just at the boil stage now, and we have a great deal of foam on top, as I expected. This is simply protein, and I'm now stirring this in to allow this protein to drop before I start the boil timer. I am just finalising this now, and a beautiful coloured wort was waiting for us underneath. So it's now time to add the first hop addition. You will notice that in this recipe this beer has many hop additions, and they are all Saaz hops. This is just what you need for this beer style, and I have to say this is a hop that I enjoy brewing with and drinking very much. Like the protein, we now need to stir this in. Be sure to do this for every addition you make during the boil, so that the recipe's intention is fully absorbed into your wort. I don't know about you, but I find this part of the brew particularly relaxing. The other job that you have during the boil is to scrape the bottom plate to ensure that you minimise build-up. This will make the cleaning process easier and also make sure that the safety cutout does not trigger. I've completed over 250 brews now with this system, and I have yet to have a cutout with it once. It's for this reason. After the boil, I did a whirlpool using my paddle for about 4 minutes. I then let this sit for about 15 minutes before cooling the wort and transferring it into my conical fermenter. I then gave the wort a good aeration with the same paddle that had been cleaned and sanitized since using it for the whirlpool. Naturally we are using a lager yeast here, but I pitched the yeast at 18 degrees C to reduce its lag time some. I held it at this temperature for about an hour before cooling the wort down to the temperature of 10 degrees C. I used my shiny new glycol chiller to do this quickly. I could not have handled a brew like this without using this glycol chiller because I simply do not have faith in fermentation in a fridge, as I'm sure many of you already know. If this is news to you and you wonder why, then please check out my glycol chiller review, which is the video uploaded before this one on this channel. Once I am able to, I will add a tasting review for this beer. I am getting quite behind in making these at the moment, but they do create quite a lot of organisation in terms of getting beer judges all to coordinate a time that they can all make it for a balanced review of each beer. Hopefully it will not be long now before I can host the next one. I do hope you enjoyed this video. So if you did like this video, then please do like it on YouTube. This really helps me out and allows the videos to be seen by a wider audience on YouTube. I have always got a lot of new videos planned for the future, so if you are interested in seeing my new content, then please subscribe for future content. If you have any questions on anything that I have covered in this video or any other video, then please do not hesitate to get in touch with me via YouTube or Facebook. I'm a member of pretty much every Grainfather Facebook group and more. Happy brewing!